Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to Saturday live stream. I usually start off these with the comment of the week, but got a little problem. And when I say little, I'm like being tongue in cheek about little because we need help. Mama Atheist, Pale Blue Mama. Sorry, she changed her name on me. Um, so Pale Blue Mama, her GoFundMe is ticking at the bottom of the screen. You can also find it in the description. She's in a very bad situation, so if you can, go ahead and donate. It goes directly to her. I don't have anything to do with it. So, yeah. Alrighty. So now we can get on with the comment of the week. And today's comment of the week goes to, drumroll please, hang on a minute. Sorry, guys. Stupid YouTube wants to act up. Okay. So, Lisa Irwin under, Daniel Nebuchadnezzar's tree dream. And she says, Lisa Irwin says, I was looking for something to read. Maybe I will reread Daniel. Dreams were used as a way to tell untruths no one could question, perhaps. We think this is our planet. There are around 7 billion humans. Did you know there are around 3 trillion trees on Earth? If there must be something to worship, let it be the trees, not a fake god modeled after man. I love trees. I have a video I made called Oxygen. It is just trees. Ha ha ha. Uh, that's actually a great point, Lisa. Um, and so, anyway, so congratulations to Lisa Irwin. And today in history, VE Day is celebrated in America and Britain. On May 8th, 1945, both Great Britain and the United States celebrated Victory in Europe Day. Cities in both nations, as well as formerly occupied cities in Western Europe, put out flags and banners, rejoicing in the defeat of, and I'm not going to say that because I'm going to get demonetized if I say that. So anyway, um, so basically, if you don't know history, there in World War II there was a VE Day, a Victory in Europe Day, and a VJ Day, Victory in Japan Day, and so obviously VE Day comes before VJ Day, but anyway, going on. Um, so getting on with the main event, which is making fun of the Bible. Junk Shop, you do this a lot better than I do. Nevermore? Yeah, but you know what? They can give me their money if they wanna. I don't care. I don't know, Vandalia. Every time I have technical problems, I think of, GE's ukulele and him singing technical problems with GE. So, anyway, okay. So we are on number 17. Um, the Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and get 12 staffs from them, one from the leader of each of their ancestral tribes. Write the name of each man on his staff. Okay. I'm guessing he means write the name of the tribe on the staff. It's kind of a weird way to word it. God, use your words. You're supposed to be God, you know, even though God doesn't exist. But let's just pretend he does, because this isn't going to make any fucking sense if we don't pretend he doesn't exist. On the staff of Levi, write Aaron's name, for there must be one staff for the head of each ancestral tribe. Place them in the tent of meeting in front of the ark of the covenant law, where I will meet with you. The staff belonging to the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of this constant grumbling against you by the Israelites. Okay, so this is actually a continuation from the Korahites. Remember the Korahites were like, I don't, we don't know why, like Aaron should be so special because, we have just as much right to, the priesthood as Aaron and his sons. So this is a continuation of that. So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and their leaders gave him 12 staffs, one for the leader of each of their ancestral tribes, and Aaron's staff was among them. Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the covenant law. The next day Moses entered the tent and saw that Aaron's staff, which represented the tribe of Levi, had not only sprouted, but had budded, blossomed, and produced almonds. Then Moses brought out all the staffs from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites. They looked at them, and each of the leaders took his own staff. The Lord said to Moses, put back Aaron's staff in front of the ark of the covenant law to be kept as a sign to the rebellious. This will put an end to their grumbling against me so that they will not die. Moses did just as the Lord commanded him. The Israelites said to Moses, we will die, we are lost, we are all lost. Anyone who even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord will die. Are we all going to die? Oh, God. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Not much junk shop, just the comparing of staffs and the budding of Aaron's staff. By the way, Aaron's staff is like, dead wood. So how did it blossom? I'm just asking. So anyway, yeah. Oh God. So anyway, going on. Um And then they're like, we're all gonna die. You know, this always, Christians are like, if you don't believe in Christ Jesus, you're gonna die. And I'm like, you people are idiots. Everybody's gonna die. It's part of life. You know, just because you don't want to die doesn't mean you're not gonna. Death is a part of life. You ain't gonna get around it. You know, and just so I can have more time for Pale Blue Mama, um, I had a Christian ask me one time, why do we die? Talking about if the Bible isn't true and if Adam never fell and blah, blah, blah. And they asked me, why do we die? And I guess they didn't think that I was going to have an answer. And I answered and came back and said, because our telomeres get shorter. That person never talked to me again. Ever. I guess he didn't figure that I would have an answer for that one. Anyway, but you die of old age from your telomeres getting shorter. That doesn't mean that, you're gonna not die from getting run over by a car. So don't get run over by a car. I've been there. I've done that. I got ran over by a car, somebody not paying attention. And, it was awful. It took me over a year to recover from it. And I still have pain from it. So don't get run over by a car. Right, Lisa? Yes, asexual. I was a pedestrian. He was coming out of the parking lot and not looking where he was going. If he had been going any faster, I probably would be dead. All right, chapter 18. The Lord said to Aaron, you, your sons, and your family are to bear the responsibility for offenses connected with the sanctuary, and you and your sons alone are to bear the responsibility for offenses connected with the priesthood. Bring your fellow Levites from your ancestral tribe to join you and assist you when you and your sons minister before the tent of the covenant law. They are to be responsible to you and are to perform all the duties of the tent, but they must not go near the furnishings of the sanctuary or the altar. Otherwise, both they and you will die. I just want to say something. God has this unhealthy obsession with blood and gore and dying and death. Um, does that sound like, be honest with me, does that sound like a God of life? I mean, am I the only one who's like, this is supposed to be a God of life, but he is obsessed with death? Animal death, human death, you named it. Verse 4. They are to join you and be responsible for the care of the tent of meeting, all the work at the tent, and no one else may come near where you are. You are to be responsible for the care of the sanctuary and the altar, so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelites again. I myself have selected your fellow Levites from among the Israelites as a gift to you. Um, why does that sound like slavery? Like, okay, so in Exodus, I think it was, God said you can't make your fellow Israelites slaves, right? But here he's saying, let me find it again. I myself have selected your fellow Levites from among the Israelites as a gift to you. Okay, God, what's the difference? What's the goddamn difference? Seriously, get over yourself. Verse 7. But only you and your sons may serve as priests in connection with everything at the altar and inside the curtain. I'm giving you the service of the priesthood as a gift. Anyone else who comes near the sanctuary is to be put to death. Some gift. Because I can't remember whether I've already read it or not, but if the high priest goes into the Holy of Holies, without being like pure or whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, then he's gonna die. God's gonna strike him dead. Verse 8. Then the Lord said to Aaron, I myself have put you in charge of the offerings presented to me. All the holy offerings the Israelites give me, I give to you and your sons as your portion, your perpetual share. You are to have the part of the most holy offerings that is kept from the fire. From all the gifts they bring me as most holy offerings, whether grain or sin or guilt offerings, that part belongs to you and your sons. Eat it as something most holy. Every male shall eat it. You must regard it as holy. This also is yours, whether it is set aside from the gifts of all the wave offerings to the Israelites. I give this to you and your sons and daughters as your perpetual share. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. Oh, goodness. This is making my brain hurt, people. Verse 12. I give you all the finest olive oil and all the finest new wine and grain. They give the Lord as the first fruits of their harvest. All the land's first fruits that they bring to the Lord will be yours. Everyone in your household who is ceremonially clean may eat it. Okay, so this is this is this is elitist. Okay, there's there's no other word for it. It's elitist. Period. Um, verse 14. Everything in Israel that is devoted to the Lord is yours. The first offspring of every womb, both human and animal, that is offered to the Lord is yours. But you must redeem every firstborn son and every firstborn male of unclean animals. When they are a month old, you must redeem them at the redemption price set at 5 shekels of silver, according to the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 20 gerahs. But you must not redeem the firstborn of a cow, a sheep, or a goat. They are holy. Splash their blood against the altar and burn their fat as a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. See, God loves the smell of burning flesh. So there is to it. What else can you take from that verse? Verse 18. Their meat is to be yours, just as the breast of the wave offering and the right thigh are yours. Whatever is set aside from the holy offerings the Israelites present to the Lord, I give to you and your sons and your daughters as your perpetual share. It is an everlasting covenant of salt before the Lord for both you and your offspring. I have no idea what he means by covenant of salt. It sounds like word salad to me. Verse 20. The Lord said to Aaron, you will have no inheritance in their land, nor will you have any share among them. I am your share and your inheritance among the Israelites. Gee, thanks God. I think I'd rather have some land. Verse 21, I give to the Levites all the tithes in Israel as their inheritance in return for the work they do while serving at the tent of meeting. From now on, the Israelites must not go near the tent of meeting, or they will bear the consequences of their sin and will die. It is the Levites who are to do the work at the tent of meeting and bear the responsibility for any offenses they commit against it. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. They will receive no inheritance among the Israelites. Instead, I give to the Levites as their inheritance the tithes that the Israelites present as offerings to the Lord. That is why I said concerning them, they will have no inheritance among the Israelites. So yeah. No. God isn't telling the non-Levites not to go forward to the tent of meeting because he's going to kill them. The Levites are telling the rest of the Israelites not to go to the tent of meeting because they're going to figure out all of this is bullshit if they do. Verse 25. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Levites and say to them, when you receive from the Israelites the tithe I give you as your inheritance, you must present a tenth of that tithe as the Lord's offering. Wait a minute. So, okay. So you're going to give a tithe of a tithe? Seriously? You're going to give a tithe of a tithe. That's basically what this verse is saying. Oh, the Israelites are going to tithe to you, and then you give it, and then from that tithe, you give a tithe to me. What the fuck? Verse 25, the Lord said to Moses, speak to the Levites and say to them, when you receive from the Israelites the tithe I give you as your inheritance, you must present a tenth of that tithe as the Lord's offering. Your offering will be reckoned to you as grain from the threshing floor or juice from the winepress. In this way, you also will present an offering to the Lord from all the tithes you receive from the Israelites. From these tithes you must give the Lord's portion to Aaron the priest. You must present the Lord as the Lord's portion, the best and holiest part of everything given to you. Of course, because God is like, an elitist. There's no other term for it. I mean, unless, God doesn't exist, which heaven forbid God doesn't exist. Verse 30. Say to the Levites, when you present the best part, it will be reckoned to you as the product of the threshing floor or the winepress. You and your households may eat the rest of it anywhere, for it is your wages for your work at the tent of meeting. By presenting the best part of it, you will not be guilty in this matter. Then you will not defile the holy offerings of the Israelites, and you will not die. Sorry, guys, I had to clear my throat. Um, Moving on to chapter 19. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is a requirement of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Give it to Eleazar the priest. It is to be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Then Eleazar the priest is to take some of its blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting. While he watches, the heifer is to be burned, its hide, flesh, blood, and intestines. The priest is to take some cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet wool and throw them onto the burning heifer. After that, the priest must wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. He may then come into the camp, but he will be ceremonially unclean till the evening. Who the fuck wants to be a priest? Seriously. You got no land. You have to get your hands bloody on a daily basis, literally. You have to chop things up. You got to burn things. You got to have all that soot going into your lungs so you get lung cancer. Who wants to be a fucking priest? Verse 8. The man who burns it must also wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he too will be unclean till evening. A man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and put them in a ceremonially clean place outside the camp. They are to be kept by the Israelite community for use in the water of cleansing. This makes no goddamn sense. If it's to be used for the water of cleansing, why are there ashes in the water of cleansing? Makes no sense. It is for purification from sin. The man who gathers up the ashes of the heifer must also wash his clothes, and he too will be unclean till evening. Who wants this job? Seriously. This will be a lasting ordinance both for the Israelites and for the foreigners residing among them. Well, now we know why the regular Israelites can't go near the tent of meeting, because The Levites don't do any of this. How much you want to bet they don't do any of it? Uh, Verse 11, whoever touches a human corpse will be unclean for 7 days. They must purify themselves with the water on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Then they will be clean. But if they do not purify themselves on the 3rd and 7th days, they will not be clean. If they fail to purify themselves after touching a human corpse, they defile the Lord's tabernacle. They must be cut off from Israel. Because the water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on them, they are unclean. Their uncleanness remains on them. This is insane. This is batshit crazy. Verse 14. This is the law that applies when a person dies in a tent. Anyone who enters the tent and anyone who is in it will be unclean for 7 days, and every open container without a lid fastened on it will be unclean. Anyone out in the open who touches someone who has been killed with a sword, or someone who has died a natural death, or anyone who touches a human bone or a grave will be unclean for 7 days. Can't you just say anybody who touches any part of a body? And come on. Verse 17, for the unclean person, put some ashes from the burned purification offering into a jar and pour fresh water over them. Why? It doesn't do anything. You're going to be dirtier because you've got that friggin' ash on you. Generally, they're going to put it in a tomb. Sometimes they put it in canoptic jars. Um, and they learned the canoptic jars from Egypt, not because they were slaves in Egypt, but because Egypt were their overlords for a time. You know, Egypt came um, and they defeated Judah, and then Judah, the Pharaoh put a puppet king in place, basically, um, and Judah basically had to serve Egypt. So basically, not because they were slaves in Egypt, because that never happened, but because the Egyptians um, basically Judah was part of the Egyptian empire for a while. Verse 18, then a man who is ceremonially clean is to take some hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle the tent and all the furnishings and the people who were there. He must also sprinkle anyone who has touched a human bone or a grave, or anyone who has been killed, or anyone who has died a natural death. The man who is clean is to sprinkle those who are unclean on the 3rd and 7th days, and on the 7th day he is to purify them. Those who are being cleansed must wash their clothes and bathe with water, and that evening they will be clean. But if those who are unclean do not purify themselves, they must be cut off from the community because they have defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on them, and they are unclean. This is a lasting ordinance for them. Again, it's not water of cleansing if it's got fucking ashes in it. The man who sprinkles the water of cleansing must also wash his clothes. Hang on. Sorry about that. The man who sprinkles the water of cleansing must also wash his clothes, and anyone who touches the water of cleansing will be unclean till evening. Anything that an unclean person touches becomes unclean, and anyone who touches it becomes unclean till evening. Ugh. I feel like he's just repeating himself. Am I the only one who just thinks he's repeating himself? Okay, chapter 20. In the first month, the whole Israelite community arrived at the desert of Zin, and they stayed at Kadesh. There Miriam died and was buried. Now there was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron. They quarreled with Moses and said, "If only we had died when our brothers fell dead before the Lord. Why did you bring the Lord's community into this wilderness that we and our livestock should die here? Why did you bring us out of Egypt to this terrible place? It has no grain or figs, grapevines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Verse 6. Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance to the tent of meeting and fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord said to Moses, "Take the staff, and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to that rock before their eyes, and it will pour out its water. You will bring water out of the rock for the community so they and their livestock can drink." But, verse 9. So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he has commanded him. He and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock?" Then Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice with his staff. Water gushed out, and the community and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I give them." These were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord and where he was proved holy among them. So wait a minute. Moses is a murderer, and he puts up with all of your shit, God, because I guess there's no other choice but to put up with God's shit. So, okay, so Moses is this murderer, puts up with God's shit for who knows how long, and then all of a sudden, oh, you hit a rock, and that makes me mad. That pisses me off, so you're not going to go into the promised land. What the fuck? Verse 14. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom, saying, "This is what your brother Israel says. You know, You know about all the hardships that have come on us. Our ancestors went down into Egypt, and we lived there many years. The Egyptians mistreated us and our ancestors, but when we cried out to the Lord, he heard our cry and sent an angel and brought us out of Egypt. Evidently, he didn't hear for a whole fucking long time now, did he? Now we are here at Kadesh, a town on the edge of your territory. Please let us pass through your country. We will not go through any field or vineyard or drink water from any well. We will travel along the king's highway and not turn to the right or to the left until we have passed through your territory. But Edom answered, you may not pass through here. If you try, we will march out and attack you with the sword. The Israelites replied, we will go along the main road, and if we or our livestock drink any of your water, we will pay for it. We only want to pass through on foot, nothing else. Again they answered, you may not pass through. Then Edom came out against them with a large and powerful army. Since Edom refused to let them go through their territory, Israel turned away from them. So wait a minute. So you have an all-powerful God on your side, okay? And instead of asking this all-powerful God, who apparently is king over all the earth, right? And say, God, we need to pass through Edom's territory, right? So give us that right. Instead of doing that, they turn to Edom and they say, hey, look, we need to pass through your territory. And Edom says, no, you can't do that. And, and Israel's like, well, fuck you then. We're just going to go to war with you. What sense does that make? Verse 22. The whole Israelite community set out from Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. Yes, that's actually in the Bible. Hor, not the, I'm not going to shame them because I don't believe there are any of them out there anyway. That long as they're doing it with a consenting adult, I don't give a shit what they do. The whole Israelite community set out from Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. At Mount Hor, near the border of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land I give the Israelites, because both of you rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Get Aaron and his son Eleazar and take them up Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar. For Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will die there. Moses did as the Lord commanded. They went up Mount Hor in the sight of the whole community. Moses removed Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar, and Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain, and when the whole community learned that Aaron had died, all the Israelites mourned him for 30 days. Right, asexual atheist? All right. Last chapter for this live stream. Chapter 21. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming along the road to Atharim, he attacked the Israelites and captured some of them. Again, where's your God, Israel? Where's your God? If your God's all powerful, why are you getting captured? Verse 2. Then Israel made this vow to the Lord: if you will deliver these people into our hands, we will totally destroy their cities. Gotta love that bloodlust. Boy, God does love his blood. Blood for the blood God. Verse 3. The Lord listened to Israel's plea and gave the Canaanites over to them. They completely destroyed them and their towns, so the place is named Hormah. Yeah, great. Verse 4. They traveled from Mount Hor along the route of the Red Sea to go around to Edom, but the people grew impatient on the way. They spoke against God and against Moses and said, why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, there is no water, and we detest this miserable food. Well, you know what? They've been eating it for a goddamn awful time. What? What do you expect? That's all they've had for who knows how long. They're gonna get sick of it. Verse 6. Then the Lord sent venomous snakes among them. They bit the people, and many Israelites died. The people came to Moses and said, we sinned when we spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take the snakes away from us. So Moses prayed for the people. Verse 8. The Lord said to Moses, make a snake and put it on a pole. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live. So Moses made a bronze snake, put it on a pole. Then when anyone was bitten by a snake and looked at the bronze snake, they lived. Okay, this really gets my goat. Really gets my goat. Why didn't he just heal them and take the goddamn snakes away? Like, seriously. They repented, right? What else do they have to do? Well, I guess look on a bronze snake, which doesn't make any fucking sense. Marianne, that's actually the I think it's called the sign of Asclepius, I think is what that medical symbol is called. I don't know. Someone um correct me if I'm wrong. Verse 10. The Israelites moved on and camped at Oboth. Then they set out from Oboth and camped in Ibarim in the wilderness that faces Moab toward the sunrise. From there they moved on and camped in the Zered Valley. They set out from there and camped alongside the Arnon, which is in the wilderness extending into Amorite territory. The Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. That is why the book of the wars of the Lord says, Zahab and Suphah and the ravines, the Arnon and the slopes of the ravines that lead to the settlement of Ar and lie along the border of Moab. From there, they continued on to Beer, the well where the Lord said to Moses, "Gather the people together, and I will give them water." Then Israel sang this song: "Spring up, O well, sing about it, about the well that the princes dug, that the nobles of the people sank, the nobles with scepters and staffs." Then they went from the wilderness to Matana, from Matana to Nahaliel, from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley of Moab, where the top of Pisgah overlooks the wasteland. Verse 21. Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites. "Let us pass through your country. We will not turn aside into any field or vineyard or drink water from any well. We will travel along the king's highway until we have passed through your territory." But Sihon would not let Israel pass through his territory. He mustered his entire army and marched out into the wilderness against Israel. When he reached Jahaz, he fought with Israel. Israel, however, put him to the sword and took over his land from the Arnon to the Jabbok, but only as far as the Ammonites, because their border was fortified. Israel captured all the cities of the Amorites and occupied them, including Heshbon and all its surrounding settlements. Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and had taken from him all his land as far as Arnon. That is why the poets say, "Come to Heshbon and let it be rebuilt. Let Sihon's city be restored." Fire went out from Heshbon, a blaze from the city of Sihon. It consumed Ar of Moab, the citizens of Arnon's heights. Woe to you, Moab! You are destroyed, people of Chemosh. Chemosh is one of the Canaanite gods. In case you didn't know. He has given up his sons as fugitives and his daughters as captives to Sihon, king of the Amorites. But we have overthrown them. Heshbon's dominion has been destroyed all the way to Divon. We have demolished them as far as Nopha, which extends to Medeba. Okay, so you can really, really see when this was written, okay? Because at the time this was supposedly written, okay, there were no Amorites, there were no, none of these people, okay, except this mishmash of Canaanites existed, okay? The Amorites, the Moabites, the Edomites, they didn't exist, okay? That didn't come until much later, which is how you can tell when this was written. Okay, verse 31. So Israel settled in the land of the Amorites. After Moses had sent spies to Jazer, the Israelites captured its surrounding settlements and drove out the Amorites who were there. Then they turned and went up along the road toward Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, and his whole army marched out to meet them in battle at Edrei. Well, like, duh, they're gonna, you're like, threatening them. Who the hell is not gonna come up against you? It's human nature to want to protect yourself, protect your people. Right? At Asexual Atheist, I swear, I look back at that and I'm like, I was so goddamn dumb. not dumb, ignorant. There's a difference. There's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. Um, Verse 34. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not be afraid of him, for I have delivered him into your hands, along with his whole army and his land. Do to him what you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon." Sorry about that. So they struck him down, together with his sons and his whole army, leaving them no survivors, and they took possession of his land. All right. So that's how many people has God killed now or commanded to be killed? A lot. A lot. And as far as I know, as of right now, quote unquote Satan, who, by the way, is not a person. You can go to my Origins of Satan. You know, I'm not going to get into that because I'm doing it in Origins of Satan. But it's a title, okay? And the Jews never thought of him as a supernatural bad guy, okay? Anyway, it's just I swear, I mean, God has, who knows, the pretend God, of course, has, who knows, how many millions of deaths on his hands, right? And as of right now, the Christian Satan has 0. I mean, seriously. William signs, it also means opposer. It can also mean opposer. So that's why radical Muslims call us the Great Satan, call America the Great Satan, the Great Opposer. So yes, it can mean accuser, but it can also mean opposer. All right, people. So Pale Blue Mama. If you can donate to her, she's in a horrible situation. If not, don't worry about it. You know, yeah, but asexual, atheist. The Israelite God couldn't even defeat iron chariots. We haven't gotten there yet, but I promise it's coming. Couldn't even defeat iron chariots. What kind of God is that anyway? What kind of God can't defeat iron chariots? So anyway, yeah, sure, junk shop. Yeah, it's the link is in the description. You know, um, like I said, a lot of us are doing a plug for the GoFundMe because she really is in a bad situation, and you know, if you can help, it would be much appreciated. Um, at any rate, I think that's going to be it for today. I'll let you guys go so you have a little bit of time before Vandalia sets up with Jackson Wheat. And yeah, so have a great day, everyone. Remember, tomorrow same time, same channel is Atheist Church. Love you guys. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye.